Hello and welcome to the Animal Enrichment Workshop. Today I'm going to be explaining why I absolutely love corn husk as an enrichment item and why if you don't already, you will too. So let's get into it. Alright, so I might sound a little bit weird and crazy with this one, but I really do love corn husk. Corn husk as an enrichment item on its own to be used with food or other things, it is just so versatile. The fact that it's readily available and natural, it hits so many points, alright? So I'm going to get started with the fresh corn husk to start with. Now, not everyone has access to fresh corn husks at work. I do, which is fantastic. So other keepers are mainly using it. Sometimes we use a little bit on the raptor team, but otherwise we get them to save it. They'll peel it back, put it to the side for us to use. When it's fresh, you get these really long pieces, arguably better when it's fresh because you do get the same uses than you do when it's dry, but it is a lot stronger when it's got that moisture inside. So to start out with, you peel off your pieces, you've got a really nice bit there, which you can use to wrap up items. All right, so for demonstration purposes, we'll say this bottle cap is a piece of food or something like that. So I love it. I'll get a piece of food or a couple. When it's wet like this, when it's raw and it's got moisture inside, it wraps up and folds really well. And then leave that just there for a second. You get your next piece and you can tear off strips really easily and use them as ties. So if I need to tie a couple together, I will do so like this, but otherwise sometimes you can just get away with one. This is the sort of stuff you can do with it when it's dry as well, but it's just a lot more fragile. You need to be quite a bit more careful. So we'll fold all that down, we'll wrap it up, and we'll tie our knot. Perfect. So start out with, you've got your little food parcel there. You can make one big one, you can make lots of little ones, and then you can have like a little treasure hunt or something like that. Perfect for raptors that I work with. I love it for the reason that I can give that to a raptor. They're gonna pick it apart, pull it, grab it, tear it, mimicking that natural behavior that they would once they've caught a prey species, plucking and pulling apart and stuff like that. So like that, very good. Now, I can also use it if I'm using other I'll wrap a piece of food in newspaper or something like that. So you can use corn husk all the way around, you can use newspaper, you can create these as long as you need. I've actually used this to suspend food items as well. So as morbid as it may be. Mice and rats, they're already dead, obviously. Maybe not obvious to some, but if you're watching this channel, it's likely you already know. Live prey is not fed out. But otherwise, you can create little strings like this. You'll attach food items, dangle them down. The raptors have to fly and grab it and all that kind of stuff. So as I'm giving examples for raptors, hopefully you're getting ideas that you can adapt to species that you're working with. There's just a range. It would be crazy to list them all. I wouldn't be able to list them all because my mind wouldn't be able to go that far. But otherwise, all of these ideas are raptor and bird, like parrot related, which hopefully you guys get an idea for as well. So yeah, suspending food, wrapping it around cardboard boxes or newspaper and stuff like that, as well as creating your little parcels. Now, when it's dry, you can get away with similar stuff. I'll just quickly undo this one and use the bottle cap again. But the dry corn husk is just a little bit more fragile. So ideal when it's wet. You get your nice big piece, wrap it up, and you can do the same thing. For the most part, it lasts well for the wrapping. It's the tying off because it's quite fragile and brittle when it's like this. But if you get a nice piece, you can get the ties ready to go and you could wrap that the same way. So to dry it, you need to be quite careful because it does mold quite quickly and easily if you don't do it properly. If you, you get your fresh corn, once you've taken it off and out of the fridge, it's where we keep ours, I will get all of the little husks. I'll show you on this one. We'll get the husks off, the corn is used, and then I will get a peg it to the clothesline, leave it out in the sun. Otherwise you can use a dehydrator. Basically we just want to evaporate all of that moisture out of the corn husk until you get to this state. Because if it happens too slowly or you leave it warm and moist like this, it can readily mold, and I've seen it happen quite quickly. Couple of days without properly drying it, it's not going to work. So potentially during the cooler months it might not be as easy, but it does store incredibly well once you've dried it. So I'll peg that up. I'll have a clothesline at work or at home, pegged it up in the sun, and it just dries out naturally like that. before we get to this. So this little hairs work really well as well, as you can see in the top of the corn. Nice little fun sort of playing around, that kind of thing. And another enrichment item that I really like is just getting corn husk itself like this, tearing it until it's like in quite frayed and so like that, and then tying a knot in that, which I found works really good for grabbing and playing and ripping up. So a non-food based enrichment item, so more of a tactile and novel enrichment item that doesn't have to use food, it doesn't use food, but something like that. I'll chuck that in a barn, our aviary, and they absolutely love grabbing onto it and picking it apart and tearing it, which is fantastic to watch. And you'll see at the outro to the video what I've done with that. But your mind will probably go to a lot of other things as well. They're just a couple of different ways that I use corn husk and what I've found to be really good. So if you got them at work, ask for the corn husks to be saved for you. Otherwise, you can purchase them from the shops if you want, if you're happy enough to spend money outside of work. Corn isn't crazy expensive. I think I've seen it for about $1.30 a husk. Not ideal, but a nice little fun one you can do every now and then if you want to. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys find something that you can jazz up with your animals that you work with or at home, because it is very versatile and it can be used for such a range of things. I keep rambling, but I absolutely love it. So until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching. Much appreciated. Happy enriching, and goodbye.